Okay. So, what's up, guys? Today's video, I'm gonna talk about saltwater crocodiles. All right. So, saltwater crocodiles can grow up to 23 feet to 7 centimeters, right? And the best part is that they live in Australia in these swamps. All right. Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Saltwater crocodiles.
I didn't know that.
23 feet.
Go ahead and sit down. I'm going to call on 3 people.
Oh no.
3 people. What was your favorite fact that you learned?
Uh-oh.
Jacob, what was your favorite fact?
Teachers, this is Israel. Is the eighth grade teachers
Saltwater
or teachers of
crocodiles
eighth
can grow
graders,
to
please
23 feet.
release your
That's what he
students to
said.
their
Whoa,
test numbers.
Zachariah.
Well, I said that too,
Please
but
release the eighth
another
grade
thing about
students
those
to their
saltwater
test
crocodiles
numbers.
is that they live in the swamps, in these swamps in Australia.
They live in swamps in Australia? No, I don't. Devon and DeAndre, if you're going to sit together, you're not talking when I'm talking. That's the final warning. If it happens again, you're separated again. Okay? When you hear my voice, you have to turn it off. Okay? All right. I would not want to swim in the swamps in Florida or Australia because that's creepy. I used to swim in Wisconsin, and you don't have to worry about crocodiles coming and tearing your leg off. But if you live in Florida or the swamps of Australia, no bueno. Okay, one more.
I don't know. What
One
does
more
that mean?
fact.
What does that mean?
Alicia. More than how much? 40%. Ooh, more than 40% of Australia is desert. And I keep drilling you on this because you're probably going to see it on the test next week. What's the part of Australia that is desert?
Middle?
Central, right? Interior, the outback.
Center? Middle?
Okay, good. Well, we need to finish our video from yesterday. You don't have
Oh, yeah.
to do the egg puzzle questions and stuff. We'll do them together.
I
won't
can't-
give you a 0, don't worry.
I still want
But
to.
we'll just finish it together.
I still
okay?
want to get the questions down. Ow. You hit him. Hashtag save Jacob.
Let me see if I can get my projector working again.
I'm Cookie Crisp. McDonald's. Update your Google Chromebo. What? What? What?
What do you think? Is it gonna work?
1444. No, it didn't work. What? What?
Well, while you're waiting, why don't
Squidgy.
you guys check student portal, please?
Student portal? Oh man, I'm being made. You
There we go.
I'm gonna look up student portal. Oh. How am I supposed to? Awkward silence.
in student portal?
Trying to sign in.
How I'm getting all good.
Trying to sign in.
What?
There you go.
It's supposed to be facing that corner by that painting of the pine trees thing.
How come my phone with you? Usually it's like closer.
I don't know. Okay, so Mara, we talked about that.
Why is it so?
Jada, you could go to the main, see how the Southeast, you guys, you're in student portal, right?
Yeah.
See how the
Yes.
Southeast Asia Research Project assignment shows a May 2nd date? You see that?
Is that the last day you let us
So
turn it in?
Jada, if you go into the May 2nd Schoology folder, there's a makeup assignment that you could do to add points, okay?
Why is it not? Why for me it's not handed in yet?
Because,
I have a.
was it handed in?
Yeah, I did my second attempt. I submitted it a second time.
Okay, then I'll go in, I haven't reconciled that.
I have
So
a-
thank you. Will you send me a message in Schoology? If you guys do any revisions to the project and you submit it in Schoology, it would be really helpful if you would send a message. Do you guys know how to do that?
No.
I have
Okay,
a.
take a look. Look up here in Schoology. Do you see this envelope right here? Look
Yes.
at my arrow on the screen. You see that envelope?
No wonder you have so many messages.
If you click on that envelope, that's how you send messages.
New message.
So go ahead and click on it. You can see I got a message from Carlos. And then I can type a new message. So you're gonna click new message and you're gonna put my name in. I think you put, if you type in Shaver, it should pop up. Did it, Zachariah?
Yeah.
He's not.
Or maybe Kristen Shaver, I'm not sure. And that way, that's really good to do, you guys, whenever you turn in late work.
I have an absent.
Get a tissue. There's a tissue on top above the card on the blueprint. Okay?
I
All
have
right.
absent on the
So
test.
Zachariah, send me that message.
I'm trying to.
Audrey, you're working on it. Annalicia, you too. You could do that makeup work
I just did.
to raise that, okay?
I have
Clayton, what's up with Clayton? Not Clayton, Oscar, I meant.
Clayton.
Oscar, you could go into the May 2nd folder and do the makeup assignment, okay? Are you okay?
Yeah.
Yeah?
You sure, Oscar?
And that's it. Okay. Let's go ahead and finish
forget
watching our video.
Finish.
What? Australia.
Great Britain, but bigger, and we can come here, we can park our boats here, and life is going great. You might be thinking, what does James Cook look like? This is a picture of
We
him.
saw this
I
yesterday,
tried
right?
to model my
Yes.
hair after him
Come on.
as well. But there he is with his mouth in a painting that was done of him.
Okay, and we figured out that they
Whatever.
didn't go there to enslave people, but guess what? They ended up doing that in the end, right? But the reason they went to Australia is they wanted an awesome trading port, trading spot. Okay?
Yes.
So the third reason why Australia became so important to the British Empire is because it was a great place for them to send all of their prisoners. Starting in 1788, the prisons in Britain became really, really overcrowded. There were so many people in jail because they either believed something different, like they were Protestant and they wanted them to be Catholic, or they were really, really poor and they couldn't pay money for their houses, so they got put in jail, or they were criminals and they actually did something bad. There's lots of different reasons why they had all these prisoners, but their prisons weren't big enough for all the prisoners. And so the government of Britain, they're like, what are we going to do with all these people? They, of course, we'll send them to Australia. And so they started shipping or sending prisoners in boats, hundreds and hundreds of prisoners to the territory of Australia. And so we call that a penal colony right here, penal colony. Penal is another word for prison, so it's
No.
a colony for the prisoners. And when they sent the prisoners there,
It's
they
not
would
very
force
long.
them
We
to
just
do
have
work.
like 4
They
more
forced them
minutes.
to build houses and build cities so that they could live there.
Okay,
What?
did we do this one? All
No.
right, take a look at the pictures. Which of these people, by looking at the picture, would most likely be living in Australia? This fancy guy? This guy?
What?
These sort of fancy people? Or the farmer? Raise your hand if you think it's number 1. Be brave. Raise your hand if you think it's number 2. Okay, number 3. 4.
Me.
Okay, the majority said number 2 and you are correct. The prisoner.
Why'd you look at me like
You look like a little Luigi.
Luigi?
So here's kind of what I just said. England's jails were extremely overcrowded, so the country used Australia as a penal colony, and they shipped convicts or prisoners there to perform manual labor. And eventually, after working for about 5 to 10 years, these prisoners or convicts, they were able to go
bigger,
free.
and we
But
can
the
come
British
here, we
people
can
were like, "We can't
park
come
our
back to
boats
Britain.
here,
Instead,
and life
you're
is
going to get
going
to
great."
stay free
And you might be
in
thinking,
Australia.
what does
So
James
you have
Cook
these
look
people
like?
who are living
This
in
is a picture of
Australia.
him.
They used to be
I
prisoners,
tried
but
to
now they're
model my
free,
own hair
and they
after
built
him.
these settlements
But there-
or these cities in Australia, and they started living there. And that's why
Colonization of
you see
Australia,
English in Australia,
it was the English
but
people
their accent there is a
who
little
first
different
discovered
than most of
Australia.
the people who
This
first
guy
went
named
there
James
were
Cook,
prisoners,
who
and they
was
had
a
their own
famous
unique
explorer,
accent and the
he
words that
discovered
they
the
used.
land
And so
and the
that's
people
why
that were
it's
already
really cool to
living
listen
there,
to Australian
and
people
he
talk.
realized
They
that,
have
you know
a
what,
unique
I'm going to take this
English
land over
accent.
for the country of Great Britain,
Okay, so
or
this is
England.
easy.
And so the British people, they soon realized that this was an amazing island because it could offer 3 benefits.
What is
Right, the first benefit is that Australia's location in the Far East, so right next to China and India and in the Pacific Ocean, it made it a strategic spot, or a really good spot for a Royal Navy port. They wanted to use the island as a base for all of their ships to come and land, and that they could get their repairs, they could get new food, and then from that base they would go out and patrol the waters and make sure that their other ships were safe. It also made for easy access to Eastern trade for English merchants. So that word that's covered up by my screen, that's the word trade.
Free British settlers, so not prisoners,
T-R-A-D-E.
but free people, they started hearing about Australia. They're like, you know what? We can't let all the prisoners have all the fun. And so they started coming.
So a lot of the
and
ships
arriving
that were
in
docked
New
there at
South
this port
Wales
that the British
colony.
built,
New
they
South
would go
Wales
trading
colony,
with
that's
China
a big
from there.
part in
And it made it so
Australia
much
where all
easier
people were
because
going.
you didn't
They
have to
called
make
it
the
New South
long
Wales.
journey in just
And
3
many
months.
of the
You could
settlers
stop in
decided to
Australia,
explore
wait for nice
Australia
weather
in search of
if there was a
wealth.
storm
So they
coming,
traveled
and it just
throughout
made
the
life
area.
easier for the
Gold
British people.
in the
So those were
desert
2
of
reasons
Australia.
why they
Let's
loved
go.
this
We'll make
continent
it
island.
rich.
It's like, hey, it's our own little island, just like the island of Great Britain, but bigger, and we can come here, we can park our boats here, and life is going great. And you might be thinking, what does James Cook look like? This is a picture of him. I tried to model my own hair after him as well. But there he is with his map and a painting that was done of him.
Places. And eventually, after discovering all of the lands in Australia, they decided to split it into 4 colonies.
So the third reason why Australia became so important to the British Empire is because it was a great place for them to send all of their prisoners. Starting in 1788, the prisons in Britain became really, really overcrowded. There were so many people in jail because they either believed something different, they were Protestant, and they wanted them to be Catholic, or they were really, really poor and they couldn't pay money for their houses, so they got put in jail, or they were criminals and they actually did something bad. There's lots of different reasons why they had all these prisoners, but their prisons weren't big enough for all the prisoners. And so the government of Britain, they're like, what are we going to do with all these people? They're like, of course, we'll send them to Australia. And so they started shipping or sending prisoners in boats, hundreds and hundreds of prisoners to the territory of Australia. And so we call that a penal colony right here, penal colony. Penal is another word for prison, so it's their colony for the prisoners. And when they sent the prisoners there, they would force them to do work. They'd force them to build houses and build cities so that they could live there.
So let me get, I'm gonna grab the next link that you guys are gonna do.
Babe.
So here's kind of what I just said. England's jails were extremely overcrowded, so the country used Australia as a penal colony, and they shipped convicts or prisoners there to perform manual labor. And eventually, after working for about 5 to 10 years, these prisoners or convicts, they were able to go free. But the British people, they're like, you can't come back to Britain. Instead, you're going to get to stay free in Australia. And so you have these people who are living in Australia now. They used to be prisoners, but now they're free. And they've built these settlements or these cities in Australia. And they started
I
living
murdered
there.
children.
And that's why they do speak English in Australia, but their accent there is a little different because most of the people who first went there were prisoners and they had their own unique accent
I think
and the
it'd be
words that
about
they
4.
use. And so that's why it's really cool to listen to Australian people talk because they have a unique English accent.
This is something
420.
called a Padlet, and I'll click it open to show
Right, and here we have a picture of what life was like in Australia. This picture is from the 1800s, so a little newer than when the very first prisoners got there. But if you can see, there's this fence with barbed wire. The prisoners are inside the fence because the prisoners, they can't escape. And then you have guards outside, and they would make sure that every day the prisoners were doing work, like building roads or building houses. By the end of the 18th century, free British settlers, so not prisoners, but free people, they started hearing about Australia. They're like, you know what, we can't let all the prisoners have all the fun. And so they started coming and arriving in the New South Wales colony.
I don't want
New
to
South
go
Wales
anywhere.
colony, that's kind of like the big part in Australia where all the people are going. They
What?
called it New South
You're
Wales.
gonna come back.
And
That was
many
me.
of the settlers, they decided to explore Australia in search of wealth. So they traveled throughout the island. They're like, maybe there's gold in the desert of Australia. Let's go. We'll make it rich because we care about gold.
Like, for example, take a look. Maybe your group is going to learn about the didgeridoo. So your group
What?
is going to click into this one. And you're going to play this video first and foremost.
What?
That's just a little teaser. Maybe your group is going to learn about the didgeridoo. Oh, guys, sorry.
So they started exploring the rest of Australia. And they began discovering and exploring more and more places. And eventually, after discovering all of the lands in Australia, they decided to split it into 4 colonies in 1864. And those 4 colonies, they had 4 British governors, or like 4 mayors, who were ruling each colony. And the island soon became so sophisticated or so wealthy and so cultured that it was acting like a European country.
I think other than Advil.
Hey, are you listening to my phone call?
I want to try taking like allergy medicine, like some.
I'm hitting continue.
So Australia, it's off here in the middle by itself in this Pacific Ocean, just its own little island. But because all these British people are coming, they're making it look like and act as a European country. Right, and here's a picture of Australia.
I
and
did
what
it. I
looks
finally
like.
completed
You have
it, even though
Western
I finished it
Australia,
like 10
South
minutes ago.
Australia, Queensland, and New South Wales.
Okay, love you. Bye.
I did a video.
Sorry, I have a sick little 16-year-old. Okay, now some of you guys might be learning about Aboriginal Dream Time. So you're gonna click into this one. And you're gonna learn what in the world is dream time. Well, they had, bless you, they had spiritual beliefs that had to do with spirits that they believed made the rivers, streams, water holes, land, hills,
What?
rocks, plants, and animals. And listen, they thought that the spirits gave them their hunting tools and their land and their totems. Have you guys heard of a totem pole?
Yes.
And
Why you have your phone out?
and their dreams.
It's for the
because
thing.
He doesn't have a laptop today. He asked me.
Me?
Okay, so you're gonna learn about that
That's what I mean.
interesting stuff and check out the artwork that they did. Now, you might be in a group that talks about Aboriginal art. I think their art is really, really neat.
Apes.
Check it out. And you're gonna come up with facts about the Aboriginal art. Or you might learn more about the penal colonies. This is a different
penal.
video about that. Or the haka. Remember the haka?
Ow.
They're creepy.
Hey, this is something we haven't talked about. The war canoes.
What?
You might learn more about the war canoes. Do you know what a canoe is? How
Yes.
many of you know what a canoe is?
It's like
It's
a.
like a little boat, right?
Why is
For
it-
a few people.
It's a boat without the
And
boat
they
part.
actually went to war in those canoes.
What if I do?
Now, check this out. Hey, I want the talking to stop. So the Aboriginal people are losing their culture and their values. And so that's really sad what they're going through. And they're trying to maintain it, just like that NBA basketball player was trying to help them. Your group might talk about the tattoos, the Maori tattoos, or Easter Island, the mysterious stone head carvings. Nobody knows how they got here or who did it.
Native.
Probably. Uh-oh,
You gotta invite first try.
we're stuck.
We are?
Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Maybe we'll get rid of this one because we just talked about that for the last couple days, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
9. No,
And we
number.
have, how many of you in here? 1, 2, 3,
52,
4,
55, 6,
5,
25.
6, 7, 8,
Minus
9,
5.
10, 11, 12, 54, 16 of you in here.
14. What?
Well, that works out to 2 people per group. You guys want to do groups of 3 though?
Yes.
Yes.
3, 6, 9, 12. 15.
Um,
Who's gonna be the solo man? Man?
I think I might have to.
What?
Someone's gonna have to be with that.
Entonces,
There's gonna be one that's gonna be second.
I don't know if we can
He's
do
dead.
groups of 3 though. We just won't have enough topics. So I think we're gonna do groups of 2. Sorry. Sorry, Charlie. And
there's 60 people in here.
yeah, and we have 8 topics.
So we can do groups of 4.
Huh?
We can do groups of 4. Monkey.
No.
Let's
That
do
would only
it.
be 4 topics. So 2 times 8 is 16. So okay, Amira and Ileana. DeAndre
8 groups of 2.
and Devon,
Please don't send me, miss.
Freddie
No.
and Jacob,
Ow!
Oscar and Marcos. We're gonna have, let's see, Cardell and Clayton.
And not Eric. Eric and Zayden. Yes. What?
Okay, ready.
Excuse me?
Don't mess with them. Alicia and Jaden. Jada, why did I say Jada? I'm sorry, Jada. Evelyn.
What?
Evelyn.
What?
Oh
What?
my gosh, I've messed it up twice today. I owe you a bag of Takis. Oh.
Oh.
Audrey, come here at the end of class.
And I got a sticker.
Who doesn't have a partner yet? Just Evelyn?
You just messed it up again.
Oh my gosh, you guys. I definitely owe you Takis, Audrey. I'm so sorry, Audrey. I actually wrote Evelyn down. That's why, because we have an odd number.
Marcos.
No, I said we have 16. Who did I not assign?
Um,
Other than Evelyn.
really? Really?
Eric.
You're saying it on purpose.
Yeah, you're saying it. No, I honestly didn't get enough sleep last night. Sorry, Audrey. Again. Come here, Audrey.
Don't get the door for Freddie. Don't get the door. Don't get the door. Don't get the door.
You guys, I'm so confused.
Don't get it.
I almost said it again. Audrey doesn't have a partner, but I thought we had 16. Oh, he's right here.
You didn't call him.
Who?
He said Freddie.
Audrey, come here. Who did I not
1, 2, 3,
assign?
4, 5, 6.
Zayden, did I assign you a partner?
Yes, with Eric.
Okay. Sorry.
Eric.
Okay, I have Amara and Ileana, DeAndre and Devon, Freddie and Jacob, Oscar and Marcos, Cordell Clayton, Eric Zayden, Alicia Jaden.
Who's Zachariah?
Can I be with Oscar? Yeah, can I be with Marco?
Yeah, I can switch that.
Whose group is Zachariah's?
And then Zachariah and Audrey. Okay?
You don't know who that is?
Sorry,
Put them in the
Audrey
far
and
corner.
Zachariah.
What?
It's a mixed group, sorry. Okay? All right. So I'm going to take your group and I'm going to pick now. I'm going to draw names out of a hat for what you're going to study. Okay?
No!
Are you ready? I need my scissors.
I feel like everyone's looking at their partner right
And we'll just get this done before the bell.
now.
We only got 3 more minutes.
We got like 4.5.
We got 5 million minutes. Be quiet.
I wasn't doing anything.
Okay.
I wasn't doing anything. The soccer
Okay,
boy?
the first group is going to study the didgeridoo instrument. Here we go, and that's going to be
Eric.
Freddie and Jacob.
I thought they
I switched it. Oh, shoot, I got it wrong.
Oscar, Freddie and Oscar.
Freddie and Oscar.
I'm good to be sure.
Okay, the second group is going to study dream time. And that is, who's Marcos? Who's with you?
Oh,
Jacob.
Oh, Marcos and Jacob. Okay, this is the third group. Sit down. Sit down. The third group is going to study Aboriginal art, and that's Aaron
Oh no.
and Zayden.
I got the worst one.
Okay, fourth group, the Haka. That is Cardell
like the easiest one.
All right, next. The war canoes.
Okay, that's the end of this video. Bye.